Yeah, I didn't know you were gonna take a shit.
Okay. We'll figure this out, all right? Just quit bitching at me.
What did you
All right,
say?
guys, what's going on? Karate Kid Fanatics back here again, episode 33. We got our special guest, Kylie Delre from Cobra Kai Season 1 and Season 2. Probably remember as Judy, Johnny's really good friend. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thanks.
Yeah, so what made you want to get involved, with the acting industry in general?
Oh, that's such a long story. I didn't seek it out, actually. After college, a friend of mine's mom, who worked as a stage manager, asked me to do a couple of plays with her community theater. So that's how I got started and kind of fell in love with it, and then asked where to study and went to New York. And that was the beginning of the history of, that was like 25 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, so for Cobra Kai, what was your audition process like? Did you know that it was going to be recurring, or did you just think it was going to be a one-time thing from there?
Well, originally I auditioned for Judy, and that was supposed to be like a one-time co-star thing. Then they liked me, so they asked me to read for Shannon, for Johnny's ex.
Yeah.
So I was on hold for a month. I didn't know what was going on. And then I got really excited about getting Shannon. And then they finally came back with the offer for Judy, and all my friends were paying attention to what was going on because it was the beginning of the show, so no one really knew.
Yeah.
So when I went to set, I asked one of the creators, John Hurwitz, so what happened with Shannon? And he was like, oh my God, we fought for you for like a month with Sony, and they wanted a bigger name, so they wouldn't sign off on you, and we thought we were going to lose you altogether. So we went back to Judy, and this is one of our favorite scenes that we wrote, and you're such a good bitch. So I was like, okay. So yeah, it was really fun. I was there the first week. I think it was one of the first scenes they filmed at all. So
Yeah, so for Cobra Kai, what was that move from YouTube to Netflix like for you personally?
Yeah, that was interesting because it was as if it never happened on YouTube, I feel. Even though a ton of people saw it. Like, I think the first month it got like 20 million views on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because you could do the free trial. And then I'm sure everybody who was in it was telling people, and they did a huge marketing campaign.
Yeah.
But yeah, once it was released, I think it was 2 years later.
Yeah, it was about 2 years, yeah.
Yeah, on Netflix, and then it hit #1. It was really as if it never happened. People were like, oh my God, I saw you. I was like,
yeah. Yeah, like I remember, like I saw the first 2 episodes in theaters. There was hardly anybody there. Nowadays it'd be slammed, full of people. But
yeah, they had screenings. They had a screening in New York that I went to originally. Like, they've all been super nice to me. Like, the creators have really kind of kept me, well, they did in the beginning, kept me in the loop and whatnot. So that was really exciting. No one knew how the show was going to do at that point. And then they had shopped it to everyone, and they got the creative freedom with YouTube. So they got to make the show that they wanted. So then when it came back around to Netflix, you're not going to mess with like a formula that's working.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Then they got to make, they get, continue doing what they have done already. So it all worked out, I think, for the best.
Yeah. So what was it like when you got the call that you were going to be back for season 2?
Hold on. You're that dumb asshole who hung my TV on the wrong wall.
You never told me which wall to put it on. Because of you, I got fired.
You called me a bitch.
No, I said you were bitching at me.
You know what? That's it. I'm done with these shitty apps.
Bitch.
Oh, so he actually told me on the set of season 1.
Oh, right. So they already had that.
Know. Yeah, he was like, oh, and we're going to have you back. And I was like, really? And then he told me what the storyline idea was. And they didn't do that. They did something totally different. And of course, I'm thinking the whole time of all these storylines myself. So that was fun. And I was no longer with the agent who booked me for the first season. So she was like, well, you don't have to do it. I was like, what? Of course I'm going to do it.
Yeah,
like,
it's so
crazy. I'm like, these guys are great. And I love it. And I was happy to come back. So yeah.
Yeah. So what was it like? You got to work with Billy twice.
Yeah, it's funny. They really treated me so well, I guess, because everybody had seen my audition tape for both roles.
Yeah.
So like one of the PAs, and if he's more than a PA, I apologize, but he took me around and introduced me to everybody, and I wouldn't have recognized Billy Zabka. Like, he looks really good. He's in great shape. Yeah. But he just looks totally different to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, like Ralph Macchio looks exactly the same. So yeah, it was kind of trippy. And then he was like, "Oh, I heard you were really great." And I was like, literally the very first thing I said to him was, "Shut up." You did
Yeah,
not. He was like, "No, I did." I'm like, "Oh, that's nice." And we just had an easy rapport. We spoke like the whole ride up to set, and he had told me what he'd been doing in the meantime was like he'll go to high schools and was talking about bullying. And I thought, what a great way to like turn that whole thing around.
yeah,
Yeah, like
absolutely.
the fame that came with him, because he's one of the most infamous villains of all time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was really nice. But yeah, it was great. Everybody was so great to me. It was a really easy set to be on.
Yeah. So for you, are you Team Cobra Kai or Team Miyagi Do?
I have to be Cobra Kai, right?
Cobra Kai. Yeah.
And someday maybe I'll come back and kick his ass. Who knows?
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't. He every season he's got TVs falling. I think it's a good thing he got out of that profession.
Right? I thought that was
Yeah,
funny
he was
that
on
I
the
wrote
right
up
wall,
when his TV fell. I'm like, well, clearly you can't hang a TV anywhere. So
Yeah, I think I saw where he posted something like Johnny
yeah,
still can't hang a TV or something.
yeah.
Yeah. So I was looking at some of your credits. What was it like being on a show like NYPD Blue?
Oh, that was really great, actually. Another really great cast. There was only like one guy on the show that wasn't great, but Dennis Franz was like the nicest guy on the planet, and they won the SAG. I think it was the very first year that the SAG Awards were around, and they won that year. And then I saw him there. But yeah, it was trippy. Joe Pantaleone, I worked with really closely. He was like a guest star that week.
Yeah.
So he was funny because he's from New York, and he wouldn't talk to me at first, and we were in the car alone, and then I wouldn't talk, and I was like, well, if he's not going to talk to me, I'm not going to talk to him. And I guess people don't do that to him. So then he like really warmed up to me. So I was on it was the first 2 weeks I was ever in LA. So yeah, it was that was great. So I went to the Fox studio like every day for a week, and so that was a good set.
So for you, like when did auditions start picking back up for you? Because I know, with COVID, it was shut down for months.
Yeah, like a year, actually. They just started picking back up here. I'm in Atlanta still.
Yeah.
Like a couple months ago. So I've actually booked 2 shows since it picked back up.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I'm not I don't know if you've been on set yet since COVID, but if you have, what's some of the differences, they're having to implement now?
Yeah, well, it's actually crazy. I really didn't know until I worked again. First of all, you have to get I'm vaccinated, but you still have to get COVID tested.
Yeah.
No one cares that you're vaccinated. I was like, oh, okay, because I got vaccinated for working.
I
wasn't going to originally do it, but we get paid every time we get COVID tested, which I also did not know, and a decent amount of money. I was like, you can COVID test me all day.
Yeah,
long.
keep doing it. Yeah.
All day, every day. But it's very isolating, which I didn't quite expect, because no one has meals together. No one goes to craft services. So you're not intermingling and like meeting everyone. So I was like literally stuck in my trailer all day until we were filming, which I did not expect. And thank goodness I brought a bunch of books. But yeah, that was really, that's a big difference I am not enjoying.
Yeah. So for you personally, what's your favorite project that you've got to work on so far?
I did a series. Actually, it's funny because I did a series in LA, a web series. I don't know if anybody watched it, called Here's the Thing.
No, not so much, but yeah.
Yeah, and that was like one of the funniest things I've worked on. It was guerrilla style. We shot it like Tyler Perry style, where we did I did 70 pages in 3 days the second season.
Jesus, yeah.
That was insane. But I love that character, and I would love to play Linda all day long. I wish more people watched it, because that was a great writing and good timing with the guy who played my husband. Yeah, and I would love for somebody to look at it and pick it up. So yeah, I love that. And I also did a play in LA, which I've been toying with doing a short for years, called Flawless. That was one of the most dramatically challenging pieces that I've ever done.
Yeah, so what is your what's a dream type of role you'd like to do, whether it's like a type of movie or just like a type of character in general?
My dream role is to play a witch in an animated cartoon.
Yeah.
And do voiceovers. I love doing voiceovers, and I love changing my voice. So people are always shocked at how I can do it. So I have it on my website, which is KylieDelre.com, and I have my 2 voiceover demo reels. So I do this little kid voice and witches and fun.
Cool thing about voiceovers, you don't have to worry about, going through makeup or any of that. You just
Correct.
sit there, the mic, and, just.
Yes. Yeah. So fun.
So, with COVID, have you picked up any new hobbies, being at home and everything?
Oh, interesting. No, but I got my real estate license. Not really a hobby,
Wow,
but it's something I always wanted to do. And I thought, well, no time like the present. So I had a year, like just sitting here. I thought if I'm ever going to do it, it's now. So I did that, accomplished that. I'm working for a great company.
Yeah. So is there any upcoming projects that you can currently talk about?
I think. I just did The First Lady is going to premiere on Showtime.
Yeah.
And Michelle Pfeiffer is playing Betty Ford, and Aaron Eckhart is playing Gerald Ford, and Dakota Fanning is playing Susan, the daughter, and I'm playing Nancy Reagan, which it sounds better than it is, but it was exciting because I totally transformed for the audition. And again, kind of had well, not hoops, but I had to audition a couple of times, and they wanted me to do another scene, and then went back and forth about it. So that on Showtime, and then every season apparently is supposed to be a different first lady. So I believe the next one is going to be Michelle Obama, and Viola Davis is playing Michelle Obama, and she's one of the executive producers as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So for you personally, do you like filming films or TV better?
I guess film, because you get a little more time.
Yeah.
Like sometimes there's not always, but sometimes there's rehearsal, and I feel like you get to live it out a little bit more, where television is so short, like snippets and
fast-paced. Yeah,
and they pretty much hire you to do it, so there's really no talking about it. There's not a whole lot of direction. Like the last show, I talk really fast. So the last show, all the direction I got was slow down. I was like, yeah, I know. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So what brings you, the most joy of being an actor or an actress?
So many things. I absolutely love it. Not very often do you get to talk to people about like how they're feeling and get into the depths of all that. I'm not a very surfacey person, so I really like to get into deeper conversations, which always happens when you're working on something, that's well written, and just exploring like where it comes from, like how I relate to that material is always such an interesting exploration. I always say this, like when I first started going to theater school, I remember one of the first coaches I ever had said, acting can be really therapeutic, but don't use it as therapy. And I thought, that's interesting. I don't really know what that means until I started. Yeah. And they always say, especially if it's dramatic, try to have 5 years distance from whatever you're going to use to get there emotionally.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just the whole exploration and you always discover things, just kind of like journaling. Like you discover things you didn't even know you needed to work on. Yeah.
So for you, doing theater, did it make it easier for you being on a set? Because, theater, you can't really mess up, because there's a live audience. Does it make it easier with being on a set where you can, take multiple takes of something?
Yeah. I'm very fortunate to have a sort of photographic memory. My dad was had a great crazy memory, and I get off book pretty fast, but I have to be emotionally attached to it. So if it's good writing, which this was, I got off book so fast for the Shannon callback. I usually know my lines and everyone else's lines, which helps because if someone drops a line, and I think that's from being on stage too, because that has happened to me numerous times when I'm on stage. Yeah. And then people freeze up and I have to know the other person's line so I can bring us all back in, which I've had to do before. So, and people are always surprised. They're like, do you do that all the time? Do you know like everybody's lines? And I'm like, yeah, you just kind of do just from going through the process.
Yeah, absolutely.
And reading it. And if you're lucky enough to have in plays, you obviously have rehearsals. And then I think the theater world is like such good training for all this stuff because it builds muscles that they want you to. At some point, most directors will say, put down the script and talk your lines as fast as you possibly can. Yeah. So it's like you have to memorize like every single word, and you try to do the author's justice by memorizing every single word. So I do try to do that. Yeah. So I think everything prepares you for everything else, and it just builds confidence.
Yeah. So what is the craziest Judy theory you've heard?
What's the craziest what?
Judy theory you've heard?
That, what, as far as my coming back or something?
Yeah, like people, people are always making these crazy theories. And
I have crazy ones, but it didn't occur to me until recently. Somebody said, "Oh, you and Kreese should get together."
Yeah, maybe your Kreese.
I was like, "Oh, that's funny because we're the worst characters on the show." So
yeah. So
interesting.
yeah. So for you, what like I assume Cobra Kai? What is that your biggest like fan reaction you've probably had out of?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. As far as TV, yeah, I had no idea what that would be like, and my role's not even that big, and people include me in everything, which is nice. You know, I've gotten like they made the playing cards. People send me stuff all the time, and people ask my autograph, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, like for your character, it feels like you've been in more than 2 episodes, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The memory of me lingers on.
Yeah, like it's just like because like you have some of these people that are on there, and yet you kind of, but your character, everybody remembers Judy. Like,
yeah, it's so funny because all I have to say to people is like, "Oh, when he hung the TV," and they're like, "Oh my God, I totally remember you." Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what is an actor or an actress you'd like to work with in the future?
Oh, interesting. That is a good question. I always liked Sam Rockwell. I think everything he does is great and honest and real. Laura Linney I've always admired. And Ozark is filmed out here, so I was close to working with her and Jason Bateman on that last year, but did not get it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, a lot of people. I've always liked oh my God, now her name is escaping me. I don't know, there's so many people that are so good.
Yeah.
Like Meg Ryan back in the day, I remember liking because she was so comfortable in her skin. Like I really admired her. I don't know, just her manners, whatever.
Yeah. Is it fun? Like for you, like do you like playing characters like Judy, like that bitchy type of character? Is that like one of your favorite type of roles to get to play?
I love it.
Yeah.
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 And one of my friends was yelling at me recently because he was like, "Well, you're not a bitch," and I was like,
Yeah.
It's so fun to play, you know. And I have a lot of people to choose from because I went to high school in New York on Long Island. Like Billy and Ralph are both from New York, and there was a bunch of mean girls. So I'm like, all I have to do is channel those bitches. And so many of the things I say, like it was only like in the last 4 or 5 years before I booked Cobra Kai that I started playing those kinds of roles. And then it was sort of my thing. It was sort of my niche. So I actually have a demo reel that's just all my bitchy stuff.
Yeah. Bitch reel.
Yeah, it is. It's my bitch demo reel. And people were like, really? You didn't know you could do that? And I was like, well, I knew I could do it. I didn't know it was going to be my thing. So yeah. Yeah.
So what is the like, so any time period, what is a movie you wish you could be in? Like, you know, any time period of any time.
Oh, I love the 50s. I think because my parents used to play the music all the time.
Yeah.
And we would have like dance night on Fridays, like with their 45s. So funny. So like Pleasantville, I think that would have been like an awesome movie to be in. And I love period pieces and I love doing hair and makeup. So even for auditions, I get really excited when it's like a period and then I look up like the different hair and makeup styles and I try to, you know, work with all that. And that's how I booked the Nancy Reagan, I think, because I went back and looked at what she looked like in 1976 and I put my hair up and did the whole thing. So yeah, and I have a wardrobe full of options. So yeah, I love putting all that stuff together.
Yes. So like, what's your next goal in acting? Whether like in like the next 10 years, what's the next thing? Like whether it's like a type of role you want to book or anything like that.
I'd love to finally get a series regular where I'm on the show all the time.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Definitely 10 years, you said? Yeah, I'm like 10 years, please.
Yeah.
Hopefully less than that. But yeah, I have like goals as far as being in Atlanta of what I want to accomplish. And I have 2 more television shows to check off the list. And some great shows out here. I want to be like the token white woman in all of Tyler Perry's films.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I moved out here. And Stranger Things, I hope they keep going. I don't even know. I think they're
I think this is either this or next season will be the last one. I'm not 100% sure on that.
So that was one of the shows I moved out here for too. Like I love that show. So, and it's in the 80s, which is where I kind of grew up. So I'd love to be on that and have that whole style done. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like great writing. Like, I love that. Yeah. Sorry.
He bought like half a army base or something and just like it's all sound stages now is what I heard.
Oh, Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has the biggest studio in the world, not just the nation. I was like, what? yeah, when I first moved out here, I read all about it, and yeah.
Yeah, like so. What is for you? What is the most crazy thing that's happened to you on set?
Set. My God. I'm trying to think. Well, I had a long skirt on, and
Yeah.
I was supposed to be drunk in the scene.
Yeah.
And I tripped over the skirt and I just kept using it. And people afterwards were like, oh my God, did you plan that? That was brilliant. I'm like, no, that's just one of those gifts that happens during, while you're acting. So I could not have planned that, and it worked out great.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for coming on. It's great to be able to speak with you today.
You too. Thank you for having me.
All right. Have a good one.
Okay, you too. Bye.